Welcome to another episode of Real Estate, Real Life, Real Talk, Real Live with the Real Secrets of Money with your host, myself, Damon the Agent. I hope y'all like this hat I have on today. It says Black King. It was a gift to me, and I put it on because Father's Day is coming up soon. So I want all the fathers, regardless of race, religion, to be recognized. But as always, today is Friday, June 6th, 2025. I want to thank you all for joining me. And if you're not following me, please follow me on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, Threads, Snapchat, TikTok, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And as you all know, I like to always begin my show with the wonderful world of real estate. And today I'm going to be talking about buyer agency agreement. I'm going to be talking about the buyer agency agreement because many people who call a listing agent like myself, a lot of times they want to begin to look at properties, and there are several questions that are always asked when people want to go look at properties. One of the things is, have you been approved for a home loan? But another thing that's very crucial when there's a relationship between a real estate professional and a potential buyer is a buyer broker agreement. Now, some people say, what is that? I'm signing a contract, which is true. But the buyer broker agreement is actually a contract between a buyer and a real estate professional outlining the terms of their relationship and services that the agent will be providing in helping the buyer purchase a property. Now, that is what a buyer broker agreement is. Some people say, well, why do I have to sign it? Okay, why do I have to sign that? I just want to look at the houses. And that may be true that you just want to look at the houses, but when the buyer broker agreement is in place to establish the relationship, like I just mentioned, but it's also to ensure an agent that you're working exclusively with them and that you're not calling up five different agents and you're trying to go see a house with this one, that one, or whatever. And in general, a lot of times the terms will actually have a fee on it that if you tend to break it or if you purchase with another agent, that they are owed. And to be honest with you, it's only fair because, like many of you who work jobs get paid every 2 weeks or weekly or however you get paid, most real estate professionals do not get paid until the house is sold. So a lot of times, if they're just randomly showing people homes without any type of agreement in place, they're potentially just wasting time. Yes, they are actually wasting time. They're wasting their gas, their time. There's no guarantee that they're going to get anything out of it, even though you might just be looking. Hey, you go back to your job, you're guaranteed to get your paycheck or however. So that buyer broker agreement is to ensure exclusivity as far as a working relationship between the buyer and also the real estate professional. Now, you have certain websites like Redfin that used to, and I don't know if they still do this, that if people go on their website, they would send an inexperienced agent to show up at the property to open the doors for you and everything. So a lot of times they would do that just because they want to try to get people to just see it. Now, the law that went into effect last year in August has changed that a little bit. Now, it's always agreed upon that buyers know upfront what they're getting into when they are working with specific agents. And again, this buyer broker agreement is supposed to clarify and outline the duties, compensation. Okay, and compensation is included because nowadays buyers in some cases have to pay the real estate agent's fee. Now, I say in some cases because in other cases, sellers are still paying fee. But if the seller is not paying the fee, then the buyer has to pay the fee. And in this buyer broker agreement, these things are normally outlined so you don't have any surprises when you go to settlement. So, again, it is necessary because it's making sure that neither the buyer nor the real estate professional are wasting each other's time. Again, it is necessarily because, like I said, time is of the essence. So, because time is of the essence, we want to make sure that no one time is being wasted. So, And then the other question is, when is it usually presented? Like, when do I normally sign this? I just clicked on, I want to see a house tomorrow and everything. Normally, with the real estate professional, it is to be signed either during that first conversation or when a relationship has been established, or no later than when you are first shown a property. Now, this is what people don't understand. The law last year in August said that a buyer's agent cannot, and they're not supposed to, they cannot show you or show a buyer a home unless they have signed this. Now, I know sometimes people say, I don't want to sign anything. And again, you might run across some inexperienced agents who may not know these things, and they just might show you. But here's the thing. If those agents get caught and it is found that they have shown properties without having a buyer or potential buyer to sign the buyer's broker agreement, those agents can potentially be fined. That's one of the things that went into effect last year. And the reason they could be fined is because they did not disclose, outline, clarify anything to the potential buyer as far as everything: compensation, duties, you know what I'm saying, representation. So these things need to be discussed. So the buyer broker agreement is very crucial whenever you're doing a real estate transaction and you're purchasing a property using a real estate professional. Okay. So I just want to make sure that people clearly understand that. Now, if you don't have any questions, or if you do have questions, please send them to me so I can actually, answer them for you and anyone else. So I'm going to be right back with my house. I went a little ahead on that, but I was saying I was going to be back with the house of the week. So let me just get into it real quick. All right. We're actually going to be looking at the house of the week. Now, this house of the week that I'm displaying right here, this house is coming on the market next week. It is actually in Waldorf, Maryland. It is a townhouse, 3 bedrooms, 1.5 bath, but only $325,555. That's right, only $325. As you can see, it has the nice hardwood floors. It has the nice hardwood floors. Don't know where that picture went to, or that one. Let me go back to them. Okay, here we go. Maybe I was supposed to start again. I don't know what's going on with the pictures, but the pictures are not coming up. Okay, so here's the thing. This property address is 3975 Winter Green Place. Let me see if I can pull it up here real quick. Yep. All right, here we go. All right, here we go. Pulling the property up here. This property is only $325,555. As you can see, it's been kept in excellent condition. Excellent condition. In a nice area in Waldorf, 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bath. That's bedroom number 2. Full bath. So here's the thing, y'all. This property comes on the market next week on June the 11th. June the 11th. If you would like a personal tour of this property that's in Waldorf, Maryland, please let me know so we can discuss it. And as I just discussed about the buyer agency agreement, yes, you would have to sign that before we actually take a look, and you have to be fully approved unless you're buying with cash. So let me get into the next thing. Hold on, my Q&A session. Hold on 1 second. 1 quick second. All right. So my first question of the day is, do I really have to get approved for a home loan in order to see a home? Do I really have to be approved for a home loan in order to see a home? Now, that's a good question. And the answer is yes. because normally when someone is looking to purchase a home, in order for the potential buyer show the real estate professional that they're actually serious and not just looking at the home, the buyers normally will initiate and take the first step. The first step is being approved. Otherwise, unless a open house is being conducted, in most cases, the real estate professional doesn't live at that address, doesn't live near that address. So in order to see that home, you have to take the first step of being approved for a loan. And that tells the real estate professional that yet you are a ready, willing, and able buyer. Otherwise, you could be the neighbor who just wants to see the property. You could be somebody who just want to go into that property because maybe it's an ex-girlfriend or ex-boyfriend's house and you want to go to the house again. It could be numerous reasons why a person want to go see a property, but without taking that first step and get it approved for a home loan, then you don't tell the real estate professional that you're serious. You just tell them that you want to see the house. So yes, you do have to get approved in order to see a home, or you can just see the home online through the virtual tours and photos that are online. Okay. All right, so let's see what's the next question. Okay, the next question. I see a lot of houses sitting on the market. Are we in a bad market? I see a lot of houses sitting on the market. Are we in a bad market? That's a good question. And the answer to that is the market you're in, or depending on where you're looking at the properties, is going to be situational. Okay. And I say that because no, we're not in a bad market. Here's the thing. There's numerous things that are going on right now. First of all, there's more inventory than it was before. More inventory means more buyers have options, meaning unlike before where supply and demand, the less houses, the less inventory, the more the demand is going to be up. Now, when you have more inventory, that means you start to have a lot of houses. When you have a lot of houses, that means you start to have more houses than you do buyers. So a lot of houses are going to sit longer on the market. So no, buyers have many options these days. Inventory is up. I'm sorry, inventory is up. But in some cases, houses are overpriced. And because they're overpriced, is part of the reason why some of these houses are staying on the market longer. No, we're not in a bad market, but some sellers don't seem to clarify that this is 2025. This is not 2021. So people always think their house is worth more than what it is. The only people that can tell you what your house is worth is an appraisal and what the buyer is willing to offer. Okay, regardless, if the buyer's not willing to offer that and the appraiser don't praise it for that, and if it's sitting on the market, it's not getting you anything. It's only worth whatever some people think is worth when people are trying to buy it. Now, when people are not trying to buy it, then people tend to lower their prices and stuff because we're starting to see a fluctuate of homes come on the market. So it's more inventory that is up. No, we're not in a bad market. We just have more houses on the market. Buyers have more options, and some of the houses that are sitting on the market are overpriced. That's why they're still sitting there. That's a great question, though. So one more question before we go into my topic of the day. Okay. Let me see. One more question. This question is for me. They ask, how long have I been doing real estate? July the 7th is my anniversary. It will be 20 years that I've been doing real estate. July 7th, 2005 is when I got licensed. So July 7th, which is a month from tomorrow, will be 20 years. So I've been licensed for 20 years. I'm licensed in DC, Maryland, and Virginia. That's why you see numerous houses. If anyone looks at my inventory a lot of times, especially on my website, DamonTheAgent.com or DamonSalesDMV.com, you will see that I have houses in Virginia, DC, and Maryland. I'm listed in all three jurisdictions, and no place is too far in a car because I'm always going to drive to it if you need my services, if it's in DC, Maryland, and Virginia. Now, I go south in Virginia as far as the top of Richmond. If it's past Richmond, then I do have a great referral partner who's in Richmond. And when it pertains to Maryland, I go all the way to the top near Pennsylvania. So, and everywhere in between, all around, and including DC. So, nothing is far in a car. I'm licensed in DC, Maryland, and Virginia. So, I thank you for those questions. We'll come back with my topic of the day. Okay, my topic of the day. Before we get into it, please follow me on all social media platforms: TikTok, Snapchat, Threads, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And always, if you need to always go back on any of these episodes, you can definitely find them on YouTube. Just go to Damon the Agent on there, and also go to live. Click on the live, and then you can pick any of these topics. So my topic of today is parenting skills. Now, I want to briefly talk about this because I've seen so many things when it pertains to parents. A lot of times when we grow up, depending on how our parents were to us, we either become like them or we try not to be like them. But when it pertains to parenting skills these days, I feel like there's a lot of parents who do not parent. People are so much buddies with their children. They don't have any structure, no discipline, and therefore they create a monster. That's why you see so many young people. When I say young people, I mean like in their 20s, who are undisciplined, rowdy, uncivilized. That's why a lot of these YNs, which is called youngins, that's why they are undisciplined, think they can do whatever they want with no consequences. Part of it, and a lot of it, has to do with parenting. Whether people want to take accountability or not, it starts at home. And I was seeing like a lot of recent graduations where a lot of parents were just standing up, blurting out, calling their kids names, screaming, doing everything in an excitement. And it's clearly understandable that that's a rare occasion and people are, happy for their loved ones. But people are so disrespectful, not mindful or considerate of others. And then when people say something, it always escalates to confrontation or leads to a fight. When people don't even understand, especially my people, I look at a lot of us and we act like uncivilized animals, like people who then came out the zoo and just roam and acting all wild and stuff. And we think it's cute, or we don't care because this is what you want to do. But this is the reason why a lot of people sometimes don't even like dealing with us, because of the mindset that a lot of us have. A lot of us don't want to show class. A lot of us would rather show how tough or ghetto or hood they are rather than showing class and stuff. And where does that get you, to be truthful? You understand? I understand if you're in the hood, you act hood. But when you're not in the hood, nobody wants to deal with that type of behavior. And the problem is too many people ain't being told that they act terrible, especially in front of their kids. I also saw on social media, in Denver, where there was a lady in a 7-Eleven and she was having a dispute with a clerk. Start cursing at the clerk. And then the clerk started cursing back at her. So she had her 13-year-old son with her. So she told her son to get him. So the little boy picked up something, threw it at the clerk. The clerk picked up something, threw it at the son. Then he hopped over the counter and was going for the son. And the mother started to say, he's only 13. He's only 13. And I say that, and I bring up that situation to say that a lot of times parents put kids in such bad situations that you don't even realize it. I also saw another situation where a lady went to a hair salon, took her 2 daughters, got into a fight. The lady at the hair salon shot and killed both of the daughters. I say that to say, I'm not saying things can't happen, but as parents, we're supposed to protect our kids. We're supposed to guide them. We're supposed to make sure that they turn out better than we did. That's what you can do, is plant seeds in your kids. No matter how they turn out to be, they turn out to be. Once they get a certain age, they're going to do what they want to do regardless. But it starts with parenting. A lot of parents are not told how wrong that they're actually parenting, because you got a lot of people who are justifying and pacifying bad behavior, and they're rewarding bad behavior. You have kids go to school, Their grades are terrible, but yet they still get iPhones. They still get stuff. There's no consequences. And then when the kids become older and they're in their 20s and they still living at home, and they're in their 30s and they still living at home, and they don't never want to leave, you wonder why. The reason they don't want to leave is because you created an atmosphere to where they can do whatever they want, however they want, feel however they want to people. And I say this to say that until a lot of parents start looking at themselves and checking themselves into other people, and I mean other people, mean the loved ones, start correcting and checking them, we're going to have a terrible society, y'all. These kids are already out of control. And then you see how the parents act. The parents don't know how to act. It starts at home. And I want to also talk about the good parents. You have a lot of good parents out here who are not even appreciated or valued by their children. Because again, sometimes we as parents, we giving our kids everything to the point we didn't give them the lesson. We didn't teach them how to struggle. So because they don't know how to struggle, they begin to feel entitled. A lot of parents out here have sacrificed for their kids, giving blood, sweat, and tears for their kids, only for their kids to be disrespectful to them or to not show them appreciation when things come up like Mother or Father's Day or their birthdays or even a holiday. You know, they feel like they're supposed to be giving stuff. I've heard stuff such as, oh, I didn't ask to come into this world. I remember two of my daughters said that to me years ago. I didn't ask to come into this world. I feel like we supposed to be getting paid. You know what I told them? You need to hold a conversation with God, because I didn't ask you to come into this world. As human beings, you know, having intimate courses is a natural thing. And your coming was not planned by me, and except one of my daughters was planned, but that was mainly by her mother, but that's a whole nother story. But the point I'm making is life is given by the Creator. So if people have a problem, especially these kids, they need to have a conversation with the Creator, because we as parents, we're just used, just like our kids are used. And when we're gone, their kids are going to be used. But again, everything starts at home. So I just want to say, when it pertains to parenting skills, evaluate yours. See how you're doing. If you think you're doing a good job, fine. And some people think they're doing a good job because their kids are not on the news, their kids are out of jail. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're doing a good job. You know what I'm saying? Your kid can stay at home all day, never want to leave, never want to work, want to eat, watch TV, play video games all the time. Cannot want to have nothing or do nothing constructive or productive in life. And I just say that to say that sometimes as parents, we're the blame. But here's the thing. Being a parent didn't come with a manual or an instruction book. So a lot of times we were doing it to try to figure it out. But I'm not talking about the people who were trying to do right. I'm talking about the people who don't care if they do wrong or if their children do wrong. See, those are the parents that a lot of times when we as Black people are acting crazy and wild in this society, that they want to just throw all of us in jail, or they want to eliminate us because our mindset, we have terrible mindset. We are so, you know, our mindset is just terrible. You know, the way we think we're entitled. Everybody owe us something. We think we can do what we want. We think we walk in a room, yeah, people got to recognize or respect me, you know, or they bet not do this, or at least to fight confrontational people pulling out guns and stuff like that. We got a terrible mindset. It's no unity. It's no growth. It's no trying to teach our children to be better than us. You know, a lot of parents are not doing that. We're giving our kids stuff and we're sending them to school, and then the school is teaching them, social media is teaching them, but we're not teaching them. So I just want to say, when it pertains to parenting skills, we all need to double check and look at ourselves to see what are we doing wrong. Because again, the children are the future, you know, but do we even have a future with the way things are going? Because when I see these parents acting the way they do, just like I just explained, listen, it's not good, y'all. And you ain't got to believe me. You can see everything on the news on how people are acting. I just want you all to take some accountability, the roles that you will play when it pertains to your children. Because some of your parenting skills suck. And some of you parents did the best you could, and you're not appreciated. So just know who you are. And I'm going to tell you right now, all of y'all ain't in the good category. So I just wanted to drop that nugget about parenting skills. Reflect on yours and see if you can do something better. Because here's the thing, even if your kids are grown, you still their mother or father. You still have an influence on them, whether you realize it or not. So if you did something wrong, try to do something right before you leave this earth. Okay? I'll be right back with my recap. All right, the recap is the buyer broker agreement. It is something that is needed, and it is a contract between a buyer and a real estate professional outlining the terms of the relationship and the services that the agent will be providing to help the buyer purchase the property. And this includes and clarifies all expectations about the agent's duties, compensation, and the scope of the representation of the business relationship. And I just talked about parenting skills, y'all. Hey, I just want you all to understand that when we see a lot of these things that's going on with these people out here in the world, it's not always their fault. It starts at home with the parents. And so many parents only care about themselves. They just want to go home, go to work, make their money, weekend come, have their fun, have their kids in a room playing video games or in some activity. But what real interaction do you really have? Even as men, as fathers, you might be the man of the house, but are you a man in the house? Do you talk to your kids? Do you really interact with them, not fussing, but talking to them? Because everybody needs to be held a conversation with. That's how you build relationship, talking, not just being there. Some people think their physical presence alone is enough, and it's not. Because think about this. If you go to the mall and you stand around a whole bunch of people, or you're in the lounge, or you're at the movie theater, you're around a whole different people that you don't know, guess what? They're physically there. You don't know them. They're physically there, present. Same thing with you. Your presence is there, but without conversation, your presence is meaningless. So I hope that I resonated with someone out there. Please follow me on all social media platforms. Check out my website, DamonTheAgent.com, and also YourWealthAgentDamon.com. And listen, y'all, it's getting warm outside. Make sure you all stay cool. Make sure you all tell your loved ones that you love them. And I love you all, and always keep God first in all you do. Whoever your higher power is, keep them first in all that you do. Thank you all, and God bless you all. Have a great, great weekend, and I'll see you next week.